Hey, what's up, guys? Joker here for episode 81 of TGW. I'm joined once again by Anthony from Tweaktown. Hope you had a good week, Christmas week, and all that.
Yeah, good, busy, very hot as well. Very, very hot,
Yeah, I saw.
ridiculously.
Yeah, I saw that you were out swimming on Christmas Day, right?
Yes, it was 43 C here, so 109.
That's mental. Are you
That's
on
our
the
Christmas.
Are you on the surface of the equator?
It felt like it on Christmas Day. It felt like it. It was amazingly hot. Really,
I don't.
really good. Too hot to be outside.
I don't think I've ever experienced that heat. Apart from I was working in the summer one year at a concrete factory, and we worked outside on these big black steel slabs pouring concrete molds for like highway dividers, and the surface of that thing had registered one day at like 125 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was just mental.
No, no. Yeah, the 125, that's too much. Even the extra couple of degrees above like 40 degrees Celsius for me, it feels like every 1 degree is like five more. It's just so bad.
And are you dealing with a lot of humidity down there too, or is it pretty dry?
Normally it's dry heat. Normally it's dry heat. But right after Christmas Day, we had Boxing Day here on the 26th, and it was just humidity. So we went from like dry heat to tropical weather. It was absolutely horrible.
Wow.
Absolutely horrible.
As far as Christmas goes, did you get any good Techmas gifts? Anything of
Uh,
note?
Not tech gifts. No,
No.
no, no.
Yeah,
Because I get everything during the year. So Christmas is
exactly. Yeah.
another day.
Yeah, and it makes it really hard. My family's like, we don't know what to buy for you because you're really picky like with everything, and you like research everything that you buy to like the nth degree, and like it's like here's socks. I'm just
Yeah,
like, well, thank you, because I need socks and I lose them.
that's
Um,
it.
well, I did get a mixer, but this was like basically someone said, okay, what do you want that would help you? And I was just like, I need a mixer. I've needed it for a while. I
Right.
haven't set it up yet though, but I've got it right here. It's one of the Yamaha mixers, so we should have this set up for next week's show. It's the
Oh,
same
yeah,
one.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, Barnacles had done a video with this a while back, and I was really impressed with the features that it had all in one unit.
Mhm.
Because I'd been wanting to get something like to do like compression and all that for the show for a while. And like I had been looking at something that would have required multiple hardware solutions to get everything that I needed, but this just has everything pretty much all in one package and retails for $200. So we can run my microphone and also audio from the PC from the Skype call through my O2 amplifier into this, and then we could have both of our audio feeds compressed so that our audio levels are perfectly in sync volume wise.
That
So
sounds like a total nerd out kind of thing. That's
it
awesome.
yeah, it really is. It's awesome. I'm looking forward to playing with it and using it. I just haven't set it up yet because it's like I know I'm gonna want to learn everything about it when I set it up. I'm not just gonna plug it in and just like turn a couple knobs. I'm like, no, I need to learn everything about this board.
That's it.
Yep. So other than that, though, kind of like news in the week is that just last night they had announced Carrie Fisher passed away at age 60. Princess Leia. Really sad news to hear that. Yeah, after years of smoking and stuff like that, it probably had played a factor in it. She had a heart attack like last week. I remember hearing about the heart attack, and then they were saying she was in stable condition. And then last night I saw the tweets going out, people saying rest in peace Carrie Fisher. And I was like, oh shit.
It's pretty crazy, and she was young as well. Like 60 years old is not that old.
Yeah,
But
it's
then
not.
in saying that, she led a very good life. You know, she was one of the biggest actresses in one of the biggest movies of all time. People remember her for generations. So yeah, it's sad though, especially at this time for her family as well. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, my first thought was like obvious because I've you could tell that she's a heavy smoker, just from like the way she's talked like in these later years, like in Star Wars, you can kind of hear it in her voice, and that's just years of smoking, drug abuse, alcohol, and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
just kind of take it for what it is. That they can really end your life short. So
yeah,
take care of yourself.
that's it. That's it.
It's unfortunate and pretty tragic that she didn't, and probably played a big role in her passing away too soon.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so they did talk about the future of Star Wars. I mean, it's kind of weird to just go right from like that to thinking about like, oh, well, what happens to Star Wars now? But I mean, it's on a lot of people's mind. It was on my mind. They did say that they've already finished filming episode 8, all of her scenes for that movie, but she was planned to be in through episode 9. So I guess now the question on a lot of fans of Star Wars mind is what's going to happen for episode 9. We did see that they did use the CGI for her younger version in Rogue One, which was really good. So
Yes.
I'm of the mindset they might do that because they did it for Grand Moff Tarkin as well, and he looked really good.
Yeah.
Some people said that hers looked better. I just saw it a second time, and I still thought Grand Moff Tarkin looked amazing as far as CGI characters are concerned. You really got to know and be looking for it, I think.
They did a good job, and I think when they were filming his scenes, it's very dark as well, so they can get away with a little bit more.
Oh, with Tarkin.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. They might do that for episode 9 with her. I think that's probably going to be the way to go, unless they write her out in episode 8, which is maybe another possibility.
They could, yeah. That'd be an interesting way to kind of throw her out, is to have her die tragically in the movie or something like that. But
I had heard this topic come up when they were talking about Grand Moff Tarkin, because the actor that played him, I think it was Peter Cushing's. Is that his name? I believe it's Peter Cushing's, if I'm not mistaken. He passed away back in the 90s, and his family gave the okay for them to do what they did with him, with a stand-in actor and who also did the voice for him, who just sounds remarkably like him. So I guess a lot of people feel like it's a little bit insulting, though, to their legacy to kind of, keep it going on with like CGI as these characters. Do you have any feelings about that, with them doing something like that with Carrie Fisher for episode 9?
I'm gonna have about half your readers and listeners here tuning out. I'm not a Star Wars fan, so yeah, I'm about the only person that I know that isn't a Star Wars fan. Yeah. So for me, I never watched the original trilogy. I did go and watch Force Awakens, which I liked. I loved Rogue One. I think as a non-Star Wars fan, I appreciated Rogue One more in some way. But yeah, not a Star Wars fan.
Well, I guess I'm asking more along the lines of for the morality of it, of using an actor that's passed on and doing a CGI version of them just to keep their image going in the movie.
I think in that regard, it's fine. I think that to not do it, you'd be kind of saying to the fans, well, only when they're alive that we can do this. But you'd be keeping the fans happy after they've passed away, which is, in my opinion, especially when there's millions of fans, keeping them happy with a character they've loved for sometimes even decades for some of these characters is only a good thing.
Yeah, I don't really have any moral issue with it, but sometimes I just feel like, I don't know, might just maybe get a new actor for it, or just write out the role or something like they've done in the past.
Or like what they did with Harrison Ford in Force Awakens. They can, as much as it cost them to have him there, which is like $50 million or something like that.
Yeah.
But they can do what they need to do with the character.
Yep. Yeah, I'm not sure how much further her character was going to go and how much involvement she's going to have in the storyline moving on, but I'm still looking forward to episode 8 and 9 and seeing what they do with her. Like I said, I think they're going to end up doing the CGI, which worked to great effect in Rogue One. Like I said, I saw it the second time and loved it even more the second time seeing it. It's quickly becoming one of my favorite Star Wars films. I was saying previously that it was like right behind Empire, but now it's really like right up there. It's really, really close. It's such a great film.
Have you seen any of Gareth Edwards' other movies?
No.
No. Did you watch the latest Godzilla?
No. I had started watching. I watched like a half hour, 40 minutes, and I just was sitting there for I kind of got bored. I didn't feel like it was. It felt like it wasn't going anywhere. I want to rewatch it. I want to give it another chance though, because I know it had gotten some other positive reviews. What other movies has he done, or is that his only other?
I think that's pretty much his claim to fame. But let's have a look on Google.
I'll be honest. I actually liked the Godzilla movie before that, even though it got just pillaged in reviews. The Matthew Broderick one, I actually really enjoyed. Yes. I enjoyed that. As a guilty pleasure for me. I like that Godzilla film.
Yeah, me too. I just don't like to admit that around many people, but as long as you're saying that, that's okay, because I actually did like that as well. Yeah, I think back then it was a good movie. If they tried to do it now, people would really question it. But I back in the day, I liked it. Like it's big special effects, and I'm a special effects whore. I love special effects. And it was a good, I don't know, it was a good movie for back in the day.
Yep. I even like Swordfish, another movie a lot of people hate.
I
I
love
liked.
Swordfish. I love Swordfish. I've watched that like 50 times
Yeah, I
because
didn't.
they say
I
special effects and bullet time. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I didn't find out until like years later, like probably in the last 5 years or so, that it apparently had such bad reviews and was considered to be one of the worst films of all time. And I was just like, "What are you guys watching the same movie?" I mean, sure, Travolta's hair looks really weird, but it was a good movie. It's like it's Wolverine hacking. Like
That's it. You
Halle
can't,
Berry's boobs were out for the first time. Like
yes.
how could you hate on that?
I don't understand. And I had cool slow-mo as well. I don't
Yep.
understand that in a time when like bullet time and the Matrix still had this huge grip on Hollywood. But I really liked Swordfish.
Yeah, good movie. Guilty pleasures. I'll still watch that movie to this day though and enjoy it. I don't know
Yep.
why so many people hate it. So looks like AMD is really gearing up towards Vega. We had those leaks, but now their social media team is jumping on it. They put out this picture here. We could see it here from the Radeon Twitter. Just said "New Year, New Architecture," and we could see a guy in like a black jumper with a red hood, kind of walking towards a reddish hued light. And really not much else to go on just besides that. So, what are your thoughts off of seeing this?
I think it's just something to be something. And it really is like the slightest tease, but I like the drip feed tease that they're trying to give us. It's not
Yep.
too much. It's not nothing. You know, they're saying new year, new architecture, but we already knew that. So I kind of
Yep.
wanted them to do more. Maybe, I don't know, a number, like a mystery. Like I'm sure
A
that, yeah,
date,
like exactly, even a
a
date.
countdown.
Yeah, something, just something. So I kind of don't know what they're doing here because there's absolutely nothing to go on. Like new year, new architecture. Okay, but we knew that you were going to be releasing Vega in 2017 because you said it like 1,000 times. But
Yeah,
yeah,
Y Cry over on video cards, had suggested maybe it's a teaser for CES 2017, trying to look into it for if this is like if there's any Easter eggs or hints or whatever in this. And I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. It does kind of look like a guy is walking onto a stage, like at a big event, like a big reveal type thing on this, like a big staged event.
well,
That's
I
kind of like
don't
with the
know how
curtains
much I can
separating.
say because I'm under NDA on Vega, but what you're seeing there is something that they teased during the event in Sonoma, California. I can't say anything more, but I've seen that person, and I'm not even going to say anything about that. And I'm guessing that that's what they're teasing. So I've seen what they're show what the single frame that they've had here, but they didn't show anything else more on that on that demo without saying anything because I've got in
Gotcha.
trouble so badly.
I think the real question on everyone's mind is, are we going to see more of Renee?
Of who?
Renee, the
Who
uh,
is
the
Renee?
the girl, she had originally came out back at, I think it was the RX 400 launch where she
Oh,
came out with the
Ruby.
VR. No, no, not Ruby. Renee, the black girl that had the VR backpack, and then she was at the event again recently playing Star Wars Battlefront on Vega.
I need to find it.
She's like
Oh, yes.
she's like
Okay.
AMD's like stage kind of like model
I
who
don't
does
think
like
I've
their
met
stuff for
her
them.
before, but I know who you're talking about now. When you said, yeah, she was at the New Horizon event, I think, wasn't she?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
she was playing Battlefront on stage with Vega.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, well, I remembered her because I had pointed her out back when they showed her coming out on stage with the VR backpack, and she looked so incredibly disinterested with being there. I was just,
They really
it,
need to just go online and just be like, how many gamer geeks are out there? How many of them are girls? All right, come in, casting call, let's do this. And actually find someone who knows what they're doing and is totally in the scene,
yep,
100%.
absolutely. But yeah, chat's blowing up saying Ruby, Ruby, Ruby. Maybe it could be Ruby. I don't know. It kind of looks like a dude's head though from behind.
No, I think Ruby is. I thought you meant the CG character
No, I
that they
know
used to
it's
use in boxes
no,
and
that's
stuff.
not. No, that's not who I was referring to. But yeah, chat's talking about Ruby though
Oh,
too
there you
because
go, Jason
they
Evangelo, who is from AMD. He
uh-huh.
said, yeah, she's Red Team Plus.
Oh, she's Red Team Plus Renee.
There you
What's up,
go.
Jason?
What's
Yep.
going on?
What's up, Jason?
He
Yeah.
jumped into the Facebook live broadcast that I'm doing on Tweaktown to kind of like drive people here. And he's like,
Ah.
"Oh, what? You guys are working together? I love you guys. I love both of you guys." And then now Jason's in here. So now we can't talk too much about AMD stuff.
Yep. Now we gotta watch what we say. Following that up, also still continuing to talk about Vega. They're talking over on Fudzilla about Vega bringing up multiple cards, and they don't mention any source for that, but they just say our knowledgeable industry friends have told us to expect top to bottom designs based on the Vega architecture. So, I guess what that leaves me thinking is, are we going to see direct replacements for things like the 480, 470, all the way down to the 460? Do you think that's something we
I
might see?
don't think so straight away. I think that when AMD showed off their roadmap, like I think a year ago now, or nearly a year ago, they were teasing obviously the Vega GPU architecture with HBM2. So I think that we'll see them fill out the top end and compete with 1080 Ti, 1080, 1070, and then I think we'll see cards that fill between the 480 and whatever a 1070 competitor is on the Vega using GDDR5 and GDDR5X, but
Yeah,
later, months after the HBM2 cards.
yeah, I would like to see some DDR5X cards come out, maybe in the more affordable price range on some cards to start
Yep,
to see them kind of get a bump up on the memory as well, so they're kind
yep,
of getting out of the DDR5 area,
yep.
maybe increasing memory bandwidth and stuff for people that are looking to spend $300 and below on graphics cards. I had just done tests the other day with the 390 versus the 970. Saw how
Yep.
impressive those cards still were. After a year, a lot of people were talking in the chat saying the AMD fine wine technology, which is not a term I was familiar with, but now I am, and I kind of like it. Do you agree with the fine wine technology?
I do. Yeah, I like. I think it runs a fine line between being a good name and a bad name. Haha, oh, so bad.
As soon as they started saying that, my mind started racing. Was like, I need to do an AMD fine wine technology skit where I'm just like swirling red wine in a glass or something.
Well, at least
I,
it'd be red, right?
it has to,
That's one
it has to
thing.
be red wine, of course.
Has to
My
be red.
mind's yeah. The only thing I was like, the only thing I'm missing is I need an AMD wine glass. I need to get
I
one of
have.
those.
Oh, I've got something close. You can see behind me. I've got like an AMD Radeon like mug.
Thermos mug.
Yeah, that's actually really awesome.
Yeah, and the other thing I was before we move on off of GPUs, did you happen to see the video that Steve did over at Gamers Nexus on the kind of the GPU, kind of the polarization of the market, and how
Oh,
like AMD and Nvidia fanboys are always kind of at each other's throats?
I feel like I need to watch this.
Oh, it's a good like 18-minute, like it looks like a single. I think it was a single take, just kind of rant from Steve Burke, just
Oh
talking
yeah,
about
the odd
yeah.
war of GPU users. Okay, I will watch that very soon.
Yeah, it's like he posted that, and it was like couldn't have come at a better time because I was just like at my wits end with the comments off of that video, because I had the 970 SSC card, which is super clocked as the initials would suggest,
Hmm.
and the Sapphire 390, which only has a 1% overclock. So I was like, well, obviously to make this fair, I've got to downclock the 970, and I downclocked both of them to reference speeds, which makes sense, right?
Yep.
To make it a fair test. But then so many people in the comments were just like, "Oh, this whole test is biased. It's gimped to put AMD out ahead." It's like, how is it gimped if they're both at the reference speeds?
It
It's
doesn't
like,
matter what you do. It's like the person that said it's gimped was probably an NVIDIA GeForce owner. But if it was the reverse and you were clicking down the GeForce card and an AMD owner saw it, they'd be like, oh, no, the NVIDIA card is gimped.
yeah, exactly. Because I had did a video on BF1 with those two cards going head to head, and I was just like, all right, I just want to take two of the, one of the best 390s, one of the best 970s, and take them out of the box and see what they can do in Battlefield 1. And then the exact opposite crowd was saying, oh my god, this whole video is NVIDIA biased. You got an NVIDIA card that's overclocked by 140 megahertz versus a card with a 10 megahertz overclock. You NVIDIA shill. I'm just like, you can't win. It doesn't
No.
matter what you do to get if you try to get an apples to apples comparison. Whoever
Yeah.
loses is going
Yeah.
to say that you were biased to the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you have someone come in and go, but you're comparing a card with 256-bit memory architecture to 384 or to
Oh
512, or there's always something, or you're testing it through
yeah,
HDMI and not DisplayPort. Oh, it's DisplayPort 1.3, not 1.3B or something. It's just, uh,
I don't know.
I love the internet.
I always thought the 390 970 were a good matchup because they came out at a similar price point.
Yes.
Even though the 390 came out much later, it is what it is.
Yep. Well,
Uh,
a 390 is just a 290. It's just been a little refined. So,
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was an interesting matchup to see on 2016 titles because when they first came out, they were really trading blows going back and forth, just like we see right now with the 1060 and the 480. But as time has gone on, we've seen the 390 be able to hold its lead over the 970 more consistently, possibly coming down to having the bigger memory bus, more VRAM. But then you've got other people saying, "Oh yeah, but it's got a higher TDP than 970." You know, that's a fair assessment. But you know, for me, I've never really been too concerned with TDP. I'm just like I've got a 1300-watt power supply, so.
I'm the same. TDP, like, yeah, if the Vega 10 card with HBM or a dual Vega 10 needs to use like 600 watts of power, go forth, my brother, and use it.
Use all of my wattage. Use all of my watt. I've got several spare wattages you can
That's
use.
it. There's many wattages you need. I will provide them. I will even hook up a dedicated 12-watt power supply. If the performance is there, I'll go dual PSU. I don't care.
I'm sure Corsair, Cooler Master, and all those case manufacturers are waiting in the wings just to put out a dual PSU power supply case.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Can you imagine that, buying an actual dedicated external PSU for your video card?
I would welcome it.
Exactly. I would do it. I'm happy. If you provide the performance, you need to use 1,000 watts in an external air conditioner or something, and the performance is there.
That would make me happy on so many levels that I would be able to just say like, yeah, I have to have a dedicated power supply just for my graphics card. And
that's it. It's instant EP.
It's kind of a monster, really. Is what I'm trying to say. Oh man.
And Jason's feverishly writing notes right now. So I've got taking them back to AMD. This is what we need to do. This is what we need.
Yeah, they don't care. Apparently, they do not care about power. Just give them more power, and it's fine. It's all fine.
See, now we have to connect that inside of the picture that they showed off on Twitter, and maybe the red opening is the power being consumed by Vega. Maybe the red light is like so much power.
There you go. Very good possibility. Last bit of we got one more AMD thing after this. This is like an all AMD show. We must be getting paid.
You needed to use #BetterRed.
Yep, I should have put that in the title. I was told I get paid $500 every time I write #BetterRed somewhere. So
damn! I just paid $500 to putting in the chat. Thank you.
Boom. So Ryzen looks like some of the first CPU benchmarks surfaced. French website had kind of broke NDA and published their review ahead of time. Mm-hmm. Which on the benchmarks, I mean, it shows it trailing behind in the scores that they're showing against the i7 6900K. Mm-hmm. But just like the numbers we had talked about last week, it's not being put at its full potential just yet. The sample is clocked at 3.15 gigahertz, and it only boosts up to 3.3 gigahertz with a max turbo boost of 3.5 on a single core. So we're still not seeing the full potential. So taking that into account and expecting to see these boosting over 4 gigahertz, you could probably take away from this that it's going to be really trading blows with the 6900K.
And I think that it's really early right now. Like, I would love to know where they got their motherboard, because it would have to be pre-production. I don't think there's any final boards from Gigabyte or Asus or anyone. And even if there are, I doubt that some random reviewer would get a Ryzen chip that's still in production, still isn't finished. AMD weren't even letting us look at the chip or take pictures of the chip when we were in Sonoma. So for some random reviewer to just have a chip, and if we can't take pictures of the chip or the motherboard, but then 2 weeks later there's a review, it's like, how does this happen? This shouldn't happen like this.
So are you skeptical about the validity of these numbers?
I am. I definitely want to see more. I want to see. I think that these numbers are early numbers, and they're probably not wrong. I would say that's what AMD are at now, when it's not on AMD's test bed, with a probably closer to production chip, closer to production board. I'd say that this is very early, and that performance will most likely go up. Just like any motherboard, like you've got to think. We're used to this world where Intel has a chipset coming out, and then they have a successor and a successor. The motherboard makers know what to expect every year, because nothing really changes that much architecture-wise. The motherboards don't change chipset-wise all that much. This is completely new for AMD. So I would say every week there will be improvements. Not 20% every week, but 1 or 2%. Oh, look, we found something else. Here's 7%. Here's an extra 2%. Those single-digit percentage improvements on the motherboard side are going to continue for the next couple of months. And I think that those numbers are just early, very, very, very early.
Yeah, I would agree. And also, just before we move on to the next one, also I wanted to kind of call back to last week. Remember, we were talking about those leaked Ryzen numbers. Just very shortly after the show had gone up, A lot of people had kind of said that those numbers were actually proven to be false, and it was actually a Xeon processor that had been tested on that. So, just a little notice to people that we were talking about those numbers last week. Did you hear about that? About it being Xeon?
I did, yeah. So there's so much information going out right now, and I think half of it is hype, and then the other half you don't really know what's going on. Like if you look at the shot, the first image where they're showing the performance on encoding and decoding, it's really good. It keeps up with a 60 or beats a 6800K. But then in gaming benchmarks, it
Yeah.
gets like Core i5 levels. That's not good.
I think that's
But
coming
then
down to the. I think that's coming down to the the core speeds. Would you think so? Yeah.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
the core speeds and the games being used. Like the only game there that would even be stressful is probably The Witcher and Far Cry. You know, Battlefield 4 is old now. Grid is old. Armor 3 is not old, but it's not optimized.
Battlefield
Uh,
4 is old, but it is still very CPU demanding. I know on an i5 you can see that getting up over 80% usage. So
mhm.
it is a fairly CPU demanding game, and it does require a fast processor.
But that's where I think that it's IPC based. If you look at like the Core i5, it's only losing to like single digit percentage, which
Yeah.
isn't too bad. And really, that chart is really misleading because you see the old AMD chip down the bottom was 69%, and then Intel 6700K at 118. But that means that it's only 20% slower than a 6700K in its state today. Early model, probably pre-production chip and board, or it could just be total BS as well. So
Yep, very likely could be BS too. Yeah, I was a little skeptical when I saw these numbers. I was like, what am I even looking at here? It's like,
yeah,
they're going off of like percentages. I guess on this the i5 6600K is the baseline at 100%, and then everything else is reflective of that.
and I don't know. I think if you look at the timing, it was released in the holidays. Most of AMD staff are probably either away or they're having time off, and to get management to well, obviously this would have come out right. And you think of AMD's perspective, if this was wrong, this would have been shut down within hours or maybe 24 hours. If it's right, probably still should have been shut down because they've broken some kind of NDA or something serious.
Yep.
So I don't know why it's still there. And if this site had broken the NDA and they said that they received, or this is a review sample, then that means that there's other review samples going around. And I don't know of any review samples at all. I haven't been contacted. Not as far as I know, no one at Tweets has been contacted.
Yeah,
So
that
if it's
was
just some random website, random French kind of like magazine or whatever they are, it's like, oh, we've got the latest next generation CPU from AMD. It's going to be the future of the company, but we just happen to have one. Oh, lol, let's leak out some benchmarks.
Yeah, that was
Just
that was like my fear actually when I saw this couple. I was like, oh, review samples are out there. I was just like, I need to email AMD. Like, why do I not have a sample? It's
that's
like,
it.
why do these guys have it? Where's mine? I want to play
Yeah.
with the Zen
I
chip
was half
too.
tempted to to email them a list of the links that I've written for Zen and Ryzen and be
Yeah,
like, look, there's 50 links. There's probably millions of hits that I've provided for you guys. Where's my sample? Like some French website gets it and then leaks it out. Oh, come on. It's just, yeah. I don't want to believe those benchmarks because I think that anyone could imagine if they've just gone, yeah, we've got a chip, and they've looked at the numbers online and then just made an approximate kind of average of what Ryzen in its current state would perform like. Anyone can make a chart like that. Anyone.
Yep, I agree absolutely. So yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with you on being skeptical about this. It very likely could end up being false because I don't think samples are out there yet, and if they are, it's probably a very select, trusted group of people,
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah.
like
With
a
a
very small minority of people.
and it'd be a very scary NDA that you'd sign. You know, if you
Oh
break
yeah,
this, we will break your legs.
pretty much.
It would be serious.
We will send Raja Katori to your house, and he will
Force feed you spicy food. Force feed you like jalapenos for like 3 hours straight.
Oh god, that's a fear. I don't want to sign that NDA.
No way. I'd rather have a chip.
So this is our last bit of AMD news. This is also regarding Ryzen. It looks like some of the Taiwanese motherboard manufacturers are ramping up production in anticipation of Zen, as they are optimistic about the high price to performance ratio on these chips, which is certainly really the area that it's going at. These SR7 chips, the higher end ones, we've kind of speculated on what the price of those may be, up around $500-600, but other people have said no, they might be $300 or $400. But I think that's probably going to be more in the mid range. The SR5 and then the SR3 will come in below that. So yeah, it seems like it's going to be a good price to performance hit for AMD if they are able to do everything that they are saying they are, and I think they will. So it makes sense that they'd be kind of ramping up production here and getting ready for it to come out in probably February, March. I think that's some of the rumors I had seen is February and March we're going to see chips.
Yeah, I think that we'll see it. I think we'll see Zen fully launched at GDC 2017, which is Feb 27 to March 3, which is exactly when AMD is expected to launch it, is late Feb, early March. So I think it'll be during GDC. But I think that report from Digitimes, I wrote that up as well, and that's everything I'm hearing from my sources within the industry, that the motherboard makers are excited. They're very excited. And I would say that it's coming at a good time when the price performance ratio for Intel might struggle, especially with 6900K being so expensive. People are going to drop down to a 7700K. If AMD can provide 6900K performance at 7700K pricing, then that's going to be very good. And that could be why motherboard makers are really optimistic about Ryzen, because they're able to provide, pretty much $500 of extra value between 7700K and 6900K with a Ryzen chip. So if AMD can hit that $500-600 mark, that'd be golden.
Yeah, and it's really the first time that a lot of the motherboard manufacturers have been able to get out there and really put out some extreme high-end gaming boards for AMD in quite a while, because we've seen a couple of kind of like gamery boards get released for the 8000 lineup of processors, but really not anywhere near as what we see on Intel. coming out almost like every 6 or 7 months, it seems, for the Intel side of stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Intel feels like an onslaught that just never stops.
Oh yeah, it's like one comes out and the next one is already on your tongue. We've got one. We're going to be talking about Tiger Lake in a moment. So.
Yes, which is going to be crazy. But I think that there's a comment in here. Adam Hogan, he said, "Of course, manufacturers are hyping a new product. They want people to buy it." But while that's true, you've also got to keep in mind that these motherboard manufacturers have very deep, very long, very detailed, very intricate deals, relationships, and markets that they focus on with Intel. So for AMD to come out with a CPU that can compete with mid and high-end range and even enthusiast and HEDT markets, that's massive. That's game-changing. So if this is all hype and it does launch and Ryzen sucks balls, AMD are finished. So motherboard makers won't be just coming out and saying this, because they're going to be hurting percentages of their market, 10-20%. But in the same article, Tech Power didn't write this, but they were talking about Vega shipments and how AMD's GPU market share has gone from 20% to 30% through 2016 because of the release of Polaris. But that they're expecting the GPU market share to go up to 40% in 2017 because of Vega. So that they left that out of that report, but it was in the same report for Digitimes. And that excites me as well, because with both of those things at once, Vega being great is going to drive the CPU motherboard market. The Ryzen CPU motherboard market is going to drive Vega, and then they're going to drive together. So it's going to be one market on its own, another market on its own, and then both combined. I think that's exciting, is that motherboard makers are coming out, and if they're showing excitement, and yes, they probably are, because they want to drive sales, which is what they're doing, but I think that's great. Intel needs to be hit down multiple notches.
100% agree. Intel is the source of our next story. You want to take this one?
I will. So yes, Bits and Chips .it came out with a very exciting rumor. When I read this, my mouth kind of hit the floor. That in 2019, Intel are going to be retiring the Core brand. So Tiger Lake will be the last step in Intel's Core branding, which has been around for what feels like 50 years now. But there's teasers that they might start redoing the x86 architecture, which is a massive move. If they do that, it's going to cause a lot of headaches, but we're going to need it to go into the future. I talked about this with a couple of guys like Steve, that does the CPU motherboard content for Tweaktown. And he said if they do that, it could be huge. But they're going to need to have backwards compatibility. They're going to need to have a lot of steps and a lot of like things in place. But this isn't going to happen until like 2019, 2020, 2021. So we're still years away. But to me, I think I used this when I posted it on Facebook, and everyone's like, clickbait, oh my God, why are you doing this? But I said that Intel must be scared. For this news, why didn't this news come out 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 12 months ago? Why didn't it come out in 3 months' time or in 6 months' time? It came out now, right when AMD is like poised to unveil Zen in pretty much days' time, like only 4 or 5 days until they unveil it now, 6 days, something like that. But for Intel to be at least studying a new x86 architecture, that excites me greatly because it goes to show that maybe AMD have found something really, really good within the Zen CPU architecture, and that's making Intel change their plans maybe quicker or change their plans completely.
Yeah, well, what they talk about in here also is the fact that this could lead for easier development of code for Intel and ARM simultaneously, because they're being held back. They're being held back right now. So it seems like that. I don't know. Is Zen going after that as well, or is this?
I think Zen won't be going after that in particular, but I think like the SR3 chips and the APUs, like this what's the chips coming out towards the end of the year?
The Bristol Ridge.
I think it's the Bristol Ridge. The APUs that are coming out. The Zen
APUs. Yeah, the Bristol Ridge APUs.
So I think that's what we'll see. Yes, I think that's when we'll see hopefully the blend of that market where AMD will want to get into more of the mobile side, trying to compete with ARM, and leaving the high-end stuff to those like 8 and 16 thread Ryzen chips.
Yeah, because this could be a response from Intel after we talked about them losing some of their server market share to ARM. So this could be in response to that, because people are finding it easier to develop for ARM, and if they want to develop for Intel, then they're having to basically code everything twice and do stuff for them separately. So if they can get everything on a parallel where they could just as easily develop for Intel and ARM, then it'll really just come down to what's the better performer, and also low power consumption, is at least on the server side of things. That's very important.
Well, it seems like that was something that the article concentrated on, and it says that the next level Intel architecture will be a very similar approach to what AMD has used with Zen, perfect balance of power consumption, price, and performance. But then in order to save physical space and to improve power consumption performance ratio, Intel will throw away old SIMDs and old hardware remainders. So that kind of excites me as well, because it goes to show that maybe AMD did find something that is very exciting with the Zen architecture, and they've said that it took them 5 years to get here. And I think that Intel may be at least having a very big competitor in AMD, and not just that, they're getting eaten away in the server market by NVIDIA. NVIDIA are smashing the entire market, and they've got it pretty much all to themselves right now, especially like machine learning and deep learning and artificial intelligence, self-driving cars. All the research that is powered by NVIDIA hardware is crazy now. AMD are getting into that with obviously Radeon Instinct, and then Intel losing that market now, and then even the consumer CPU market is changing for them. So it's exciting to see this. Exciting.
It is. It's very exciting. Even that fly in your room can't barely.
I know. I know. It's like President Obama's speech, I think from like a couple of weeks ago. There was like a troll like kind of video on YouTube of the fly landing on his face. He doesn't move. How does Obama do that? He must not feel it. The fly's like just like trolling me, kind of like, yeah. Obviously, you can see it that much. It's that fly is like this big.
Well, it's hot right now. I have that same problem in the summertime. This past summer, I had an ant problem, and it's like one of the streams before I got it under control. It was just ant. I was just killing ants like left and right during the stream. It was ridiculous. Because my whole street where I live, we basically live on top of an anthill. So in the summertime, they just come out. It's just like, it doesn't matter how clean your house is, you're gonna have ants. So prepare for it.
I hate ants.
They are so annoying. You have no idea. Maybe you do.
Yeah, we get them sometimes. I live like where this office is. They're blocked behind me, and the block to the left of me. There's no development, so it's just dirt. So I get the same thing. Big spiders, and a lot of ants.
Oh yeah, Australia's got some pretty scary stuff as far as your insects and
Yeah.
just animals and reptiles are
Well, I
concerned.
went to on Christmas morning. Speaking of spiders, on Christmas morning, I was setting everything up with my wife and kids, and then we got some bikes for my daughters, and I was riding them through the lounge room, and then I heard like a little like bolt kind of slide out of the bike. And it was just from the tire bit where it just holds in like the little plastic, cool looking little bit, and um, and I sat down to fix it, and under the table I could see some spider legs. And I'm like, oh, gross. So I hate spiders. I'm like the biggest girl when it comes to spiders.
Same.
And Australia does not mix because we get lots of them. And so I went and got some tongs and put them in a plastic bag because my wife was like, don't use the tongs to get the spiders. I'm going to burn them when I'm finished. I like got the tongs, like smartly put them into a bag. Pulled the spider. It was a massive redback, which is a spider that we get here. And the I think it's the lighter the red bit is on its body, the older it is, and the brighter the red bit is on its body, the younger it is. And so I think this one was a younger one, which is more venomous, but it was just under the table, and the body was huge. It was the biggest redback I've ever seen,
Wow.
and that's just a random spider that we get in Australia.
I'd freak
Yay!
out. I'm
They're
the
just
same
awesome.
as you. I'm a little girl when it comes to spiders as well. I don't want to mess with them. Every spider I see, I'm just like, it's a brown recluse. It's a
Yeah,
brown recluse. So like that's a daddy long leg. I don't care. It's
yeah,
a brown recluse.
yeah. Every spider is out to kill you, 100%.
Absolutely.
They just, I don't understand. Like, um, yeah, I don't like spiders. I don't understand why they have to exist.
To deal with ant problems.
Yeah, but then if the spiders would do that and then just go away, then
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. But yeah, this
See,
it's not.
it's funny when I was having that ant problem, I was seeing an ant crawling on this door right here behind me, like literally right there. I could still see the spot where I killed it because I left it there for a while after I smashed it. The second I smashed it, I was just like, I shouldn't have done that. I just took out my only ally in this fight against the ants. I was just like, I just killed my only ally. It's terrible.
It's like
I
being in a team game. You need the other person. You just go and shoot them and kill them. It's like, oh well, now I'm kind of screwed.
Yep. So Digital Trends, they reported on Futuremark. They are apparently working on new benchmarks. Always love running the 3D Mark benchmarks. They came out with the Time Spy one recently. Looks like they're working on new ones for DX12, Vulkan, and VR. They do go on here to talk about the DX12 one is not really meant to kind of bring our high-end PCs to their knees. They're really meant to go after more affordable PCs that are running presumably Windows 10 and have access to DirectX 12 on integrated graphics, so that they can run some type of benchmark that doesn't really that they can at least run, I guess. So I mean, the real exciting ones in here for me more is Vulkan. I'm looking forward to see a good Vulkan benchmark, because right now pretty much all we have is Doom uh,
Yeah,
and and VR, and that which is a pain in the ass to benchmark, by the way.
VR is virtually impossible to properly benchmark. It sucks.
Yeah, I have not. I really have like no experience with VR at all, apart from trying it out at a couple press events.
I'm surprised. Like, I don't understand how they haven't done that, right? Like, why can't they have a benchmark that starts up before the game starts up, captures the window, and then just captures the frames per second, runs through the game for like 3, 5, 10 minutes, whatever you want to choose, and then just goes, yep, this is what your PC is capable of. Like, Steam has its VR benchmark, but that's not really a VR benchmark. I can't even see what's going on half the time. It's just, yeah, I kind of wish they did it in a different way and they just captured the game, because you can say, here's a VR benchmark, your PC is VR ready, but it's like, but can I play raw data with maximum graphics? Because that shit needs some serious hardware. You can't just run raw data or raw data, for anyone who is in here that doesn't understand my accent, because I always say that wrong when I'm talking to Americans. Raw
You
data.
just talk your natural way. It's
Raw
fine.
data is better. So in raw data, you need some serious GPU hardware. So you might get someone that goes, "Oh, my PC is VR ready." Yeah, okay. If you want to play the stock games that come on the Oculus Rift or the HTC Vive, the very, very stock kind of like Wii U or Wii Sports kind of like looking games. When you want to get into serious stuff, we need benchmarks. We need VR benchmarks, proper VR benchmarks.
Yeah, back on Vulkan, Acid Monkey in chat brought up Talos Principle and Dota 2, which are, he says, they're great examples of Vulkan. I've not tested Dota 2 on Vulkan, but as far as Talos Principle is concerned, unless they've updated it, the last time I tested it, it did not run amazing. It was actually getting significantly less performance, I would say, compared to when it was running on, it's either DX11 or OpenGL. I can't remember what the standard API
Is
is
there a
for that.
built-in benchmark for Talos
Yes,
Principle?
yes, there is.
Excellent. I might have to add that to my suite then.
Yeah, it's a nice little benchmark. You can choose how long you want to run it for, and it just, like you just said there, it just basically runs through a stage of the game and just kind of goes through really fast for a predetermined amount of time or unlimited, whatever you want to set, and it just goes through a level of the game. So it's a great benchmark, but from what I saw, the Vulkan was falling behind DX11, so it was not great. And the Vulkan is still listed on there as beta, at least from what I last saw.
Okay. No, I'll have to check it out. I've heard so much about it, and because obviously the Crow team did it, but I just never got into it.
Yeah, and I know Ashes is Singularity. They're supposed to be bringing Vulkan into that as well. They've been working on it for a while, but they're still not released yet, though. This was kind of a leak someone had found in one of the update files, GameMode.dll for Windows 10, which points to Microsoft implementing a gaming mode for Windows 10, which would help kind of reduce some of the resources in the background that might kind of eat up CPU and RAM from when you're trying to play your game, so that you can get best performance as possible. Yeah, always a good thing to have something like that. It's there are quite a few programs out there that have stuff like this. I use Advanced System Care to like clean up my system every now and again and get rid of like old junk files, and they have like a gaming mode on that which will kind of shut down some background processes, But on a high-end PC, you really don't need it too much, but I'm sure there are some lower-end PCs where that does help in terms of the performance. Is this something you would consider utilizing on Windows 10?
I think I would, and I think Windows 10 needs more benchmarks like that. I really do. Like, if they want to try and push Windows 10 and the need for DirectX 12 and stuff like that, but to me, there's no easy way of benchmarking multiple DirectX 12 titles or anything like that, or Vulkan. They need more. I don't know. I think the benchmarks, we've been so used to DirectX 12 benchmarking for a while. We just haven't had anything for Windows 10, but this is exciting. To me, I probably won't use it, probably unless it kicks ass, but I think a majority of people will use something like this. I think that this could be something that's big for people. Even if it provides 5 or 10% performance, if you're getting 50 frames a second, you're getting 10-15% performance improvement, then you're going to hit 60. That's good. It's only good.
Yeah, and one thing that they also pointed out in here, which I had saw in an article I think about a week ago or so, they talked about the revenue for 2016. PC gaming pulled in nearly $36 billion, while consoles only pulled in $6.6 billion.
Yep.
So just absolutely destroyed them.
Yep.
Is that you linking me?
Yes, it is. So there has been, I've just noticed a couple minutes ago that Ian Cuttress, one of the editors from Anantech, says that, so it looks like part of my package was stolen, invoices missing. Clearly someone saw, redacted, and took it. No launch day review, ? Sad face. And then one of the comments said, I smell a CPU that starts with an R and ends in an N, Ryzen, but Ian won't have a time to review because his package was stolen.
Ooh.
Now, if that's true, then that's why I wanted to just quickly talk about that now before everything starts to end. That means that the French website, maybe they did have a CPU. Because if Ian Cuttress was being sent one and it was stolen, but then day one review, that tweet was 28th of December. It's only days until CES. Mm-hmm. So maybe the launch reviews are CES.
Maybe.
So that means I'll be sending an email after I'm done here.
I mean, it could have been anything, really, couldn't it? Doesn't necessarily mean it's AMD.
No, and it could have been his 7700K, but then everyone was getting those weeks ago.
Oh yeah, that's news to me.
Yeah, everyone's been getting review samples for a while.
All right. Well, I don't know. It could be Zen, maybe.
I want it to be Ryzen so bad.
I do as well. And if Jason's still in chat, you have my email, sir.
Yes, Jason better be in the chat.
You have my email and my home address, and you know where to send that SR7 processor and a motherboard along with it.
Yes. Hopefully,
Uh,
we're going to knock on our door today, and it's a next flight delivery from AMD, and
there
we
you
both
go.
have Ryzen chips.
That would be amazing. Although I have not heard anything about that happening, so I would be very, very shocked if it did.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so last topic here before we do Q&A. If you guys want to start firing your questions into chat now, you can go ahead and do that. This is just really quick thing on Cherry MX silent switches, which have already been around for a little while, although as in recent years, they had a timed exclusivity deal with Corsair. We saw them in their Strafe keyboards. This is the Silent Red and Black, which are virtually identical in terms of how they operate. They're both linear switches, require 45 and 60 centinewtons respectively for the different switches. The only real difference is that they are silent. So there you go. That's that.
I'm looking forward to how silent it would be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't tested the Strafe. I don't think so. So I haven't really had anything to kind of compare it for basis. But yeah, I like Cherry switches. Mechanical stuff is nice. I like all the switches.
Which one is the Corsair Stripe? I'm ready to go. I think I actually got that. I think I'm using it now.
You're using it right now in front of you?
Yeah. No, the one you can see there. Oh.
Well, there you go. You've got silent switches. Let's see how quiet they are.
They're quiet, but I wouldn't call them silent. I can still hear something. And to me, I think that you should only be able to use the word silent in your marketing when it means silent. Like, this is silent. This is not silent.
Yep, I know exactly what you mean. I mean, some people had said kind of related to like when you put like a dampener on your keyboard, and I've experienced what that's like, and it's not silent. It certainly reduces the noise that you make, and it might please your office mates a little bit better if you're using a mechanical keyboard in an office scenario. But yeah, it's still not completely silent. You're still going to hear the switch bottoming out on.
Mine is not the silent. Sorry. After checking their website, I've got something else. I don't know what that is. I've got so many keyboards here. Like, I have like 15 of them. I don't know which one is which anymore.
All right. So, have we got any questions in chat? If anyone wants to go ahead and fire them in there, I've got about 7-8 minutes that I can dedicate to doing Q&A before I got to head out of here. But if you guys have any questions, let us know. Any day now. Questions will catch up with chat.
I'm scrolling up now.
How much do you think the highest end Zen processor will cost? Well, we've kind of talked about that a bit. We're thinking probably around $500 to $600, I think.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Joker, did you see the CES tweet NVIDIA posted on Twitter, and what do you think the 8 means? No, I did not.
Yeah, I'm going to that now.
The NVIDIA Twitter?
Is it NVIDIA Twitter or NVIDIA GeForce Twitter?
I don't know. But I'm going right now.
Well, join us as we usher in a new year of technology innovation.
Someone said something about an 8. I don't see an 8 anywhere.
Yeah, me either.
Maybe GeForce.
No, same thing.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything with an 8. Not sure what you're referring to, sir. Oh, did you see the CES tweet? The CES tweet. Okay, we see NVIDIA at CES 2017. Join us as we usher in a new year technology innovation in CES 2017. That's a new year of technology. Nope, I'm not seeing anything that would stand out to me.
Shit, January 4th, 6:30 p.m. PST. I've got the wrong thing on my calendar. Thanks, random dude on the chat.
For what?
Because they pointed me to NVIDIA's website and it says the opening keynote is January 4, 2017, but I have it in here as something completely different. I've got it in here as 4:30.
How often should you upgrade an Intel i5 to a newer i5? I really wouldn't. If I was on any i5 at all, even going back to Sandy Bridge, I wouldn't consider upgrading unless you were getting an i7.
Totally agree.
That's my opinion, and Anthony agrees. Yeah, I don't think the gains would be there enough to even justify really going from Sandy Bridge i5 to a Kaby Lake i5, unless you're running SLI or something. In which case, you probably have enough to get an i7, and you should.
And even if you're going to do that upgrade, just wait. Ryzen is literally around the corner. And even
Absolutely.
if you don't go to Ryzen, even if you hate AMD, Intel are going to be forced to drop their prices, and all of the Intel motherboard maker partners are going to be forced to drop their prices. And then the
Because
introduction of of Kaby Lake and the 7700K and the 7000 series chips, they're going to drop the prices of the 6000 series.
Yep, absolutely. Uh,
Will there ever be a Titan XTI? That would be sick.
yeah, that would be real sick.
Jeez, they'd be like $3,000 though.
Probably. Titan Black version too.
No, you know what I want them to bring back? I miss the Ultra on the end of cards, like 8800 Ultra. I really want like a GTX 1080 Ultra. TI sounds good, but I also like the name Titanium, not just TI. Like GeForce GTX 1080 Titanium, and GeForce GTX 1080 Ultra. I think they could do that, or even Titan X Ultra. Titan X Ultra sounds awesome.
Someone said, Joker, will HBM2 equipped GPUs demand DDR4 or will DDR3 suffice with 4790K? No, wouldn't demand any memory requirements. No,
No.
be fine with DDR3. I mean,
Oh, he said NVIDIA UK for the Twitter account.
Ah.
Oh man, kind of excited now. Oh, okay, now I see that. Oh, 8 days to go. That's why they said that.
Oh, yeah, 8 days.
As soon as I saw it, I'm like, 8 days to go. I'm like,
it says
no.
It says it in the tweet. 8 days till CES, man.
Oh man, I was so pumped. In my head, I'm thinking 8. Okay, maybe they mean infinity. Is it going to be something infinity? Like, oh, everything was going through my head, but then it's just 8 days to go.
Wah, wah.
Masters.
Do you think the SR3 and SR5 chips will overclock better than the SR7? Probably. No.
But I
Probably
think that
not.
AMD are releasing overclockable SKUs like Intel, so maybe they won't overclock as much. So maybe Ryzen, because they said that obviously it scales with your cooling. You know, if you buy an SR3, you're not going to be putting it underwater or LN2. And I think that you'll see like a K SKU, like we see with Intel, and AMD can then stage the prices. You know, buy an SR3, not overclocked, 149, overclocked, 189. You know, SR5, 249, 289 overclocked. I think that that's what we'll see happen, hopefully.
Someone wanted to know my CPU. I'm using the i7 6800K, which I foolishly upgraded from a 5820K to, even though my 5820K had overclocked better. But I just wanted to have the newest thing because that's what no competition makes you want to do.
That's sometimes. Right. That's it.
Well, no competition makes you do stupid things.
Yep. No, it makes sense.
It makes sense that it makes absolutely no sense to do what I did.
I went from a 5960X to a 6700K just because I wanted something new. And then as soon as Ryzen comes out, I'll have that and 7700K just because I want it. I don't need it. It's just because I want it.
Yep,
and the word want is a very strong thing in my life.
I will get a 7700K, but it's only because my test system right now is running an i5 6600K, and I need to get rid of that bottleneck.
Yes, definitely.
There are games like Battlefield 1, Watch Dogs that made me realize, yes, you're hurting your GPU numbers here by using this. That's why I kind of, in the past few months, I just switched back to testing in my main system.
Yep.
Apparently, video cards has RX 490 specs. Is that new? Because we had talked about that a couple weeks
back. I don't think there was anything that I saw that was new.
Unless this was just posted. No, nothing new. Nothing new. I was on there earlier. This was the last new story. 1070 Seahawk review. Will I get Zen? Yes, I will get Zen. I am definitely going to get Zen, and I'm going to see where the numbers lie for what I do as far as video editing goes, and if it can process and render out 4K videos faster than my 6800K and keep up with my gaming needs, then that'll be my main processor.
Yep. Yep, I agree.
Will my brother get Zen? Yes, he will. He probably won't get an SR7. He'll likely get something like an SR5 chip because his 8320K, his 8320 is limiting his 980 Ti in some games. He actually said recently he wanted a GTX 1080 for Christmas, and I was just like, do you have any idea that I gave you a 980 Ti for freebies, and it's in your system, and you're only playing at 1080p. You don't need a 1080.
My brother said the same thing. He had a GTX 980, and then I gave him or loaned him a 1070. And then he's like, no, it's not good enough. I want a 1080. And I said the same thing. I'm like, dude, you're gaming at 1080p. You don't need a GTX 1080. Like, yeah, but you have them laying around. And it's like, but that's not the point. Like, you don't...
You don't need it. Just be happy.
No.
You just got a free graphics card that most people would give the left leg to have.
That's it. Yep.
All right. Well, I know I can see we got a few more. I'll do one more question before I got to get out of here. Recommend a good PSU for dual GTX 1080. I always come back to just suggesting EVGA PSUs. They're the super flowers. They're incredibly stable, just efficient, really good price as well from EVGA. They don't like bend you over the barrel on the price on them either. You can, for dual GTX 1080 setup, you could probably get away with an 850 watt. I would, if it was me, I would probably just get 1,000 watt just because I could. I mean, I got 1,300 watt because it was only like $5 more than the 1,000, so I could just like, all right, just got the 1,300. So yeah, I mean, if you can get like 1,000 watt EVGA G2 PSU, you'll be golden for a long time. So yeah, something like that'll be good. And fully modular, just make sure you get something fully modular.
And people, you don't need to have like, I think even people with GTX 1080 in SLI think, oh my god, I need like 1,500 watts. Like you said, 850 is enough. You're not going to draw like my whole 5960X with an overclock 1080 doesn't go past 350. So even if you have a good 500 with a single card, you'll be okay. Two of them, 850 is that's more than enough.
Yeah, you can get by with an 850 for sure.
Yep.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get out of here, guys. I hope everyone had a good holiday, and Happy New Year coming up in a few days. Happy New Year to everyone ahead of time. We'll see you in 2017, I guess.
Yes, I think I won't be there. I won't be on the show next week because I'll be in the States. I'll be in your country, your amazing country, for CS. I leave in like 5 days.
Awesome.
Not long now. No one
All right. What day is CES? Well, it's in 8 days, so that's after TGW. So I won't be reporting on any CES news, I guess, by next Wednesday, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But the following week, sure, I'll be.
The following week's there's gonna be a lot to talk about.
Yeah, the following week there'll be a lot to talk about, but hopefully we get some news next week, because usually that week like leading up to it, unless we see leaks, usually the tech news can be a little bit dire because everyone's waiting for CES to get all their big news out there and everything. Yeah. All right, well, we're going to get out of here, guys, like I said, and don't forget to leave a like down below if you enjoyed the show. Share this with all your friends and everything, and check out Anthony over at Tweaktown. And we'll catch you guys next time.
Nice. Thank you.
Ta-ra.